Chris Kreider is a Duck. The New York Rangers have finally traded Chris Kreider to the Anaheim Ducks in a trade that feels like it took place over the course of 3 days. There are 2 players involved, 2 picks involved. Let's go through it. To the Anaheim Ducks, Chris Kreider. That's very easy, and we'll talk about him because he's a well-established NHL player. The other, Carey Terrance, a 2023 second-round pick of the Anaheim Ducks who was on the American World Junior team at this past World Juniors. According to Elliot Friedman, there is no salary retention involved, so the whole $6.5 million cap hit of Chris Kreider going to Anaheim, just like Jacob Trouba, who is also a former Ranger. The Rangers receive a third-round pick in 2025 that originally belonged to the Leafs, and the pick to Anaheim is their own 2025 fourth-round pick that they originally gave to the Rangers for Jake Trouba. I have complex feelings about this trade. Chris Kreider is 34. Chris Kreider has 2 full seasons left on a contract that will pay him $6.5 million per season. Chris Kreider is coming off the worst season of his career. Prior to the worst season of his career, Chris Kreider was a really good hockey player for the New York Rangers for a very long time. Chris Kreider played for Team USA at the Four Nation Face-Off in February of this current year. Listen, at the end of the day, Chris Drury, the GM of the New York Rangers, his job is to make the New York Rangers better. Getting out from under 2 full years, no salary retention of this contract is crazy. Getting paid to do it by the Ducks is even crazier. The Rangers and Ducks exchanged picks. The Ducks gave up the better pick. They also gave up a second rounder that they drafted in 2023. They paid for 2 seasons of Chris Kreider with no retention. Any way you slice it, that's kind of surprising and a good move by Chris Drury, in my opinion. Also, however, I don't think good hockey players forget how to play hockey, and I don't think Chris Kreider forgot how to play hockey this past season. 2 seasons ago, or last season, however you want to look at it, Chris Kreider had a healthy, full 82-game season where he put up 36 assists, which was a career high. I'm focusing on the assists for a reason. This past season, he played a not very healthy 68-game season where he put up a career low 8 assists. 8. He still had 22 goals, which is pretty good. Is it worth $6.5 million? No, but that's good. That's a serviceable player. The season he was coming off of is immaculate. Listen, maybe he never hits 52 goals again, okay? Here's what he's coming off of. In an 82-game season, 39 goals, 36 assists, and the second highest point total of his career, 75. The Rangers made it to the Eastern Conference Final, and during that 16-game run, Kreider put up 8 goals and 4 assists for 12 points. The year prior, in 7 playoff games, he put up 9 points. The year before that, in 20 games, he put up 10 goals and 16 points. Before this past season where he scored 22 goals, Kreider scored 39, 36, 52, and then goes down to 20 in a 50-game season. Listen, players age. Time catches up with everybody. Maybe that's what's happening here, and we literally never see a better season than what we've seen out of Chris Kreider. Maybe for the rest of his career, he tops out at 20 goals and 30 points. In which case, $6.5 million sucks! But the Ducks are taking the optimistic approach and saying, you know what? He'll bounce back. Even if he doesn't bounce back to what he was, can you get him to 25 goals? That's only 3 more. That seems reasonable. Could you flirt with 30? Could you maybe get a second date with 30? Can you get him more than 8 assists? Probably by accident, yeah. The previous season, he had more than quadruple that. And that's what the Ducks are banking on. The Ducks are dying for relevance. They have some good young players. They have some really good goalies. They've been trying to do some obvious things over the past few years. They gave Frank Vatrano a salary-deferred contract. There is no reason to give Frank Vatrano a salary-deferred contract if you're the Anaheim Ducks. What do you have? Cap trouble? What are you doing? No, they're trying to signal to the rest of the league, hey, look, we'll spend money. They got Radko Gudas on that expensive contract, and then they made him captain. Alex Killorn, same deal. They went out and they traded for Jacob Trouba from the New York Rangers. Another guy who had a no-move clause and said, I don't want to go to Anaheim. And the Rangers said, okay, well, you're going. And he said, no. And they go, you are. And he said, no. And they said, we'll waive you. And he said, okay, fine. Just like Barclay Goodrow, who went to another California team. The Rangers keep doing this. The Ducks' goals are clear for next season. They want to contend for a playoff spot. They had a greatly improved season this past year, but they're still a ways away. You can do a lot with a great goalie, or maybe even two. Just ask the New York Rangers. Some teams around the NHL are trying to change their DNA. The Anaheim Ducks are trying to establish theirs. The other thing I gotta say here, I hate what the Rangers are doing because it's objectively good for the organization in a vacuum short term. Completely screwing Barclay Goodrow and waving him and sending him to the San Jose Sharks. I mean, okay, you free up the cap space, but brutal way to conduct business. And then Jake Trouba, hey, you're going to get traded. And he goes, no, I'm not. And then they go, okay, well, you're screwed and we're just going to waive you. And he goes, all right, fine. And he accepts the trade to Anaheim. And then they do the exact same thing to Chris Kreider, who had Anaheim on his no-trade list. There is a reason that the Hockey Hall of Fame is not called the Hockey Hall of Very Nice Guys. This is a ruthless business decision. Speaking of ruthless, Greg Wyshynski tweets, while I've downplayed NHL offer sheet hysteria in the past, I think the flexibility to potentially sign an RFA is part of the Rangers' thinking on the Kreider trade. Oh, now we're just cooking with gas. Hell yeah. I think more than most teams around the league, we're all looking at the Rangers and wondering what the heck they're doing. They even have some key restricted or unrestricted free agents. Keandre Miller being chief among them. Are they going to get traded? Are they going to get offer sheeted? Are they going to... I assume that they end up in California if they do get traded. That's what Chris Drury does. That is a team that had a few pretty decent cracks at the cup, faltered at the beginning of the season, and they decided, we got to change it up. And change it up, they aggressively are. Now, there's the player that the Rangers got, the prospect that the Rangers got from the Ducks in Carey Terrance. Interesting prospect because if you look at his hockey DB, he's actually got an interesting Chris Kreider-like stat line. The season he was drafted in 22-23 with the Erie Otters of the Ontario Hockey League, he had more goals than assists. The next season, more goals than assists. This past season, more goals than assists. The main problem is he hasn't quite gotten back to his rate from the season that he was drafted. In 22-23, he had just 17 assists, but 30 goals for 47 points in 67 games. He's also from New York. From a part of New York that I think if I tried to pronounce it, I know I'm just going to get ridiculed in the comments by all the Rangers fans watching this, so I'm not even going to give you the satisfaction. I'm going to try. Akwesasne? Akwesasne. Manhattan. Anyway, he had 30 goals, 17 assists, 47 points. The next season, 29 goals in fewer games, 23 assists, 52 points. Okay. That is an improvement. This past season, in just 45 games, 20 goals, 19 assists, 39 points. Yes, it's in fewer games. His goal rate actually just goes back to his draft year, actually a hair below. It's 29 point something. He hasn't taken unbelievable statistical strides, put it that way. Still a very solid major junior player, but for a guy who just turned 20, you hope for more. At this past Winter's World Junior Hockey Championship, he played 7 games and had 2 goals. He's from New York State. That's fun. Former second-round pick. That's fun. Might work out. Might not. When you trade a draft pick, it's like trading magic beans because you have no idea what the draft pick is going to turn into. It gets a little bit more complicated when you actually draft a player and now there's a name attached to it. But even after you draft them, it can still take a few years to figure out whether or not a prospect is going to make it. And I kind of feel like Carey Terrance right now is still a little bit magic beans. In a few years, who knows? Those beans might be magic. They also might just be beans. What do you think Carey Terrance eventually turns into? Let me know in the comment box down below. And let me know what you thought about this trade. What do you think about the way the Rangers treat their players, like guys who are well established? We're not just talking about some guy. From Big Head Hockey, since 21-22, Chris Kreider has more goals than Jake Gensel, Sidney Crosby, Adrian Kempe, Mark Scheifele, Sebastian Aho, Brady Tkachuk, one injury-riddled season, and now he's useless? I kind of agree with that sentiment, man. Even in an injury-busted, no-good, not-fun season, Chris Kreider still scored over 20 goals. And this, from Rangers videos, all-time leader in playoff goals. Chris Kreider, Original Six franchise, all-time leader in playoff goals, third in regular season goals, top 10 in several other categories, and above all, Ranger in every sense of the word. Thank you, Kreider. And the way his Rangers tenure ended is he was forced out. One last thing, CJ Show. CJ Show. CJ Show. The Chris Johnston Show. Man, there is so much garbage out there this time of year. So many rumors. You don't know what to believe. CJ Show. Focus. Chris Johnston, Julian McKenzie. These guys are pumping out the good stuff. And they just so happen to have a brand new episode right here on this YouTube channel right now. It was uploaded today. It's minutes ago, depending on when you're watching this. CJ Show, don't miss it. For now, that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all your friends to comment what you thought down below. CJ Show, CJ Show, CJ Show.